Okay, welcome to the first in many DJ producer interviews that I'm going to be hosting on my show here on Funky Essex. And today, for the inaugural interview, I've got DJ, producer, songwriter and vocalist Essex, born and grown, no, that's wrong.
Born and bred.
Born and bred. I've got ELisa here with me today. So ELisa, she used to actually be on Funky Essex, some of you may know. She also produces, she writes her own songs, and she does her own vocals, and she also DJs, obviously. So she's kicking off the interview series for us this week, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have her on the show, and to be able to ask her some questions. So ELisa's been DJing since the mid-90s. She started on Pirates. She had a little break from the scene, and she's come back, and now she's producing. She's recently been signed with Ray Keefe's record label Dread, which we'll hear more about in the interview. So yeah, ELisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Shelli. It's good to be here. Thank you.
So I'm going to start from the beginning. We're going to kick things off. Just tell us a bit about how you got into drum and bass music.
So, being a young teenager in the 90s, I was always into the jungle scene back then, and the group I was in, I was dating a young lad who was DJing, and basically I used to go around his house and he used to be DJing. I got a bit bored, so I asked him to show me. Always been into music from a young age, so obviously was a natural. And yeah, that's it. Started networking and things like that around Essex. Did a few pirate radios, a few sort of gigs in and around Essex, and that was it basically. Yeah, so I sort of fell into it really. It wasn't planned.
Cool. So who is your big influencers? Who is the big DJs, MCs? What are the tunes that you was into back in the day?
Well, I actually had some dealings with Urban Takeover record label.
Okay.
Back in the 90s as Mickey Finn and Aphrodite's label. I did a few dubs for them, white labels they were called back then. So I was doing that. So I used to love all them tunes, Badass and King of the Beats.
Yeah, I remember them.
So I think
showing our age now.
Yeah, I think my all-time favourite tune from that era has got to be Night Flight.
Right.
One of
Delta.
Just reminds me of walking into United Dance in around 97 and just hearing that play. I remember Andy C's set back then. He was the last set of the night, and oh my god, I was still going.
Yeah.
As a young 16, 17-year-old going to the raves underage, but yeah, we won't talk about that.
We've all been there. So you mentioned United Dance. What was the first rave you went to?
The first rave I ever went to was an under-18s rave called Evolution.
Okay.
But my first adult one, I think it was Helter Skelter.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did all the big raves back in the day. I used to go to Turn Mills, United Dance. I said Evolution, didn't I? Mm-hmm. Labyrinths in Dalston, Bagley's, all of them ones. Yeah. So.
Okay, a bit about yourself. So your DJ name is ELisa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the name come from?
So ELisa is actually kind of my middle name. So my middle name's ELisa Beth, and I got put on the spot at Syndicate FM back in the day, and they said you got 10 minutes to find a DJ name, and I just was like and I just come out with it, ELisa, and it's just stuck ever since.
That's you all over though, lastminute.com.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So we know that you DJ and you produce. We've heard some of your tunes, some of your tracks we're going to play a bit later. You also do your own vocals and you write your own songs. What came first?
I would say writing music came first. From being a child, I used to watch my older sister play the piano, and I learnt the piano by ear initially, and I used to write songs. I used to sit there for hours writing songs, and then I had lessons because I wanted to be like my sister. I played in an orchestra. I played the clarinet. I played the violin. I didn't learn the guitar until a couple of years ago. So the music came first, like the songwriting side of it. Then I got into the DJing as a teenager. Then I came away from it. Then I got interested in actually producing electronic music as an adult about 4 years ago. Obviously being into drum and bass, I then thought, well, I can write songs, why not produce the music that I love? So I learnt to use Ableton all myself, just through tutorials. And then I started writing vocals for other people because someone heard me sing and they said, oh, you've got a really nice voice. And I was like, no, I can't sing. And they were like, yeah, you can. So that took me a lot of work to get the confidence to sing. But now I feel like I've sort of tackled that a little bit. So yeah, that's basically how it all came about.
Wow, that's a really interesting musical journey. So you've obviously come from a musical family and a musical background. This day and age, with all the technology we've got, what would you say to a new producer, someone who was thinking about producing, who hasn't come from that musical background and hasn't got that music theory, as it were? Do you think that's important or essential? What would you advise?
Personally, it's been very beneficial to me. I think at the end of the day, there are people out there that will start DJing. The natural progression is to start producing. But if you don't have that musical ability, it does make it tough, because anyone can learn how to use a computer program, but they're not necessarily, you can't teach someone how to be musical.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps. But I think generally if people DJs, they've got a love for music anyway.
Yeah.
And you have to have sort of, some rhythm to be able to beat match and that sort of thing. But I would say if you are naturally music, you're definitely at an advantage.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so my next question, I do like these questions when I hear them being asked from DJs. So there's two parts to it. I want to ask you what your best DJing experience has been, and also what your worst, because the worst ones are the funniest stories.
That's a hard
forgetting
one.
Headphones, USBs, stopping the deck at the wrong time.
I've done all of those things, not going to lie.
People love this stuff. Come on, spill the beans. What's the worst?
Oh, my best one. That's so tough, because I've played at some small independent gigs and they've just gone off. But then I've played at places like the Steelyard in London, and that was just huge. So my favourite, oh dear, you put me on the spot now. I would have to say I played down in Hastings about a year ago, and I tell you, it was the best set because it was an empty room when we started, and there were 2 rooms, the whole club ended up on my set. It was quite an early set as well, and literally the whole club came into my set and it just went off. And
amazing.
Being a DJ to fill an empty room, even though it wasn't like a massive venue, the vibe and the praise and the comments I got afterwards, it was amazing. Everyone was like, oh, that was the best set I've heard, and that's what you want as a DJ.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
it's not all about the big venues or the big names.
No.
It's about the crowd and how they're vibing off your set.
The worst one, oh God. I've done so many I can't even think off the top of my head. I think I'm not going to say any names, I don't want to put anyone to shame, but I think one of the worst sets I'd done was where the sound system was just horrifically bad.
Right.
And I just couldn't hear anything.
Awful, blown speakers.
It was blown, there were no monitors, and I had to do headphone mix, and it was just all over the place, and it was dead as well.
Oh no.
But as a DJ,
DJ's worst nightmare,
you
basically.
carry on. You just
Show
carry
must
on.
go on.
Yeah.
So obviously we've had a tough year. Everyone's felt it this year. We've been in lockdown. It's not been a good time for a DJ. Like, how have you coped with that? And what have you been up to in lockdown? What have you been doing?
Lockdown was really difficult for me because whereas most people might have thought, oh, I'm furloughed from work, I've got loads of time now, I'll get in the studio. For me, it was the complete opposite, because I do my work when my children are at school, or when, I've got help. I don't know if people know I'm a single mum of 4 children. So lockdown, I didn't do anything. I didn't put any pressure on myself because it was just too difficult.
Yeah.
So I just sort of thought, right, this isn't going to be forever. I'll just ride it out. But it was tough. I was pretty poorly. I hurt my back. I think it's been tough for everyone.
Yeah.
I got quite depressed, I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of people can relate to that. But the weird thing is obviously I got signed just before lockdown. So that kept me going. I thought, well, you know, once this is all over, then I can work towards, you know, what I've achieved before it all happened.
Cool. Tell us a bit about that. So you've been signed by Dread Recordings, right?
Yeah, that's
massive.
Ray Keefe's label. Yeah, I know. He's been mentoring me for just over a year now. So that was purely off my own back, just putting myself out there, networking. Sent him some of my music. He gave me feedback, critiqued it. But instead of me thinking, oh, you know, it's a knockback, I listened, went away, worked on what he told me to work on, kept just persevering. Really, it's, you know, I took the criticism, and it's paid off.
Wow.
Because I sent him a tune, and that was it. He was like, "Yeah, that's the money track."
Yeah, sounds like you've got a really good relationship. It's,
yeah, I feel very blessed to have someone like that mentoring me,
definitely,
and giving me guidance. It's a very cutthroat industry, and he's always there to give me advice and put me on the straight and narrow when I go a bit off the rails. So yeah, I'm very, very privileged, to be fair. And I've had a few more tracks that I've made since that have got the green light. So a few more tracks to go before it can go out. I think it probably won't be till next year now. So
wicked. So big shout out to Ray Keefe and Dread Recordings.
yes, indeed.
So I mean, like, lockdown's been tough, but one thing I've noticed over the last year, 2 years, there's been a massive rise in female DJs, MCs, not so much producers, more the DJ side of things. Is there anyone out there that you particularly rate, you think is going to be the next best thing?
I think it's really difficult because I'm one of those sort of advocates of a DJ's a DJ, but I'm mentoring a young artist at the moment called Clumsy Chemist. She was part of the Mixmaster contestants, which I'm judging with Nikki Black Market at the moment, and I spotted her. She was the very, very first contestant of the whole competition. And I think it was very difficult for her because going first, we had nothing else to go by as judges. But I saw a little spark with her, so I messaged her and gave her a bit of advice. I've started giving her Ableton music production tutorials. So she's one to watch, 100%. I think other DJs I think are really pulling through, Swid. I think she's good.
Yeah, Switch
and Ty as well, is it? Yeah. I think they're all really and Jaded, and of course you, Shelly. Sorry. Of course, that's just standard though. You know that anyway.
Oh,
so yeah, I can honestly say this girl here, Shelly, she is a banging DJ. No,
thank you.
No, she is. She is. Honestly, she really. You really are a really good DJ.
Appreciate that.
But I thought, I'm talking. I feel like you're quite established anyway. So I'm talking
the youngers,
people that are,
yeah.
No, not so much the youngers, but the ones that are coming through.
Right?
Yeah, because I see you as established already.
Oh, bit more about the music. So we all know that we all know and love drum and bass. What other music do you listen to, if any? And what do you like? What do you chill out to?
Oh, I listen to everything. Yeah. Anyone who knows me knows there's no limits.
Right.
The only thing I don't really like is country music.
Right, okay.
And really heavy rock.
Yeah.
But I was a right grunger back in the day.
Yeah.
I had gothic clothes and DM boots and all sorts.
Your South End roots were coming out.
Yeah. Oh, everything. Apart from drum and bass, I think my particular favourite is hip hop, but old hip hop.
Yeah.
And I love house music, deep Balearic house. Love it. I like tech house. I DJ'd a bit of tech house. I went through a garage phase, but I'm not a big fan. Not gonna lie. Right. I mean, everyone knows the old classics, but I feel like garage is stuck in a bit of a time warp. I don't know if you know what I mean. All them tunes are still being played 20 years later. But I love all music. So yeah, I like ballads, 80s music. Oh my god, anything from the 80s, 100%.
Yeah, 80s kid.
Love an 80s ballad.
So a bit more about like sort of new DJs, producers coming through. There seems to be so many trying to break through at the minute. What advice would you give them?
I think it's just really important to know how to market yourself, because unfortunately it's not like it was back in the day. You sent off a tape and if they liked it, you got a gig. Now it's all about marketing yourself. It's about the socials, about talking to people, putting yourself out there, building up a fan base. Now basically the main way to do that is through social media, and I know a lot of people go especially ones that are from the old school, but that's just how it is. So yeah, I think if you're wanting to come into it, one, you've got to be dedicated, because it's a hard old game. There's 10 million DJs out there. What you've got to ask yourself, what am I going to do? It's different. So
there you go. So it's hard work, self-promotion,
and just bringing something different to the table, and developing your own style,
creativity,
and you've got to stand out from the next person, because you'll get lost.
Wow.
It's just the way it is.
So after the interview, I'm actually going to play some of your tunes, if that's okay.
Oh, of course.
Just to finish off, just tell us a bit about what's to come. I know you mentioned Dread and that. I hear a rumour that there's some international things coming up for you.
Yeah, I'm also signed to a record label in New York called Deeper Vision Recordings. They've signed me for an EP. I've just had a single come out called Light the Way that was released on all platforms for download in October. So yeah, I've got that. Obviously, I've got the Dread recordings, and then the possibilities are endless after that. Really, I'm just going to keep plugging away. I've applied for the Hospital Records mentorship, producing mentorship. So we'll see what comes of that. But yeah, basically just keep doing what I do.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say, I mean, we've known each other about a year now, and I've seen you grow from strength to strength. And yeah, you're a huge inspiration, and your dedication to it always, amazing.
You make me blush now.
We want to wish you all the best of luck, and we're all going to be following your progress. And
I was just going to say, if anyone wants to follow me on the socials,
there you go.
Shameless plug.
Go for it.
It's ELisa on Facebook, E-Lisa. Instagram is DJ ELisa_DMB. My Mixcloud is DJ ELisa, and my Soundcloud is DJ ELisa.
And what I will say about ELisa, she's a lovely lady, and she's very approachable. So if anyone's got any questions or anything, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to help you out. So ELisa, thank you very much for coming on Funky Essex, and
it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back.
And we wish you all the best of luck.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Shelli. Thanks for having me.